Schalke used to be a top side in German football, but after financial difficulties they now find themselves mid-table in the Bundesliga too. Now the Royal Blues have won 7 German championships, 6 DFB pokals, and even won the UEFA Cup in 1997. Watching Schalke waste away in the lower leagues of German football just does not sit right with me. So today we are jumping into FC25, we are going to take charge of Schalke, build them back up, and eventually win them a Champions League trophy. Now if you do enjoy the content, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel, as it does really help me out. We are itching very close now to that 5,000 subscriber mark. But let's now jump into FC25 and get this Schalke rebuild on the way. So this is the Schalke team we have loaded into in FC25, and honestly lads, this is a shocking side, I can't lie. The vast majority of this team are over 30 years of age. Two of the best players at the club in Karaman and Seguin are literally at the peaks of their careers and won't develop by much more. We do have a really promising young striker though, Musa Silla, who's 24-year-old and 72 rated. He could be someone we take into the end game with us. But if we look at the highest rated players in our team, there's one common theme. They are all aging lads. And it's becoming a bit of a common theme on this channel that we inherit aging squads. Just look at my Derby County rebuild for example. We had to put a lot of work in replacing older players for younger high potential players in that rebuild as well. Now do you know what, I don't actually mind the starting formation that Schalke are using, the 4-2-3-1 with CDMs. However, we do need to have a switch around with the personnel in the starting 11, and we will also need to make some signings in season number 1. We've swapped a few players around in Schalke's starting 11, and this at the moment is the team that will take us into season number 1. Really is not the strongest team on paper, and we do have quite an aging squad. However, fortunately we will have 10 million euros going into the first transfer market, so we can make some significant upgrades in our starting 11. But first things first, we have got a load of contracts we need to renew. Anyone who is over 30 will be getting sold in this window. Hopefully we can cut the size of the squad down and replace these players with real quality youngsters. Now the contract situation has been sorted out and we're left with 9 million euros to make some transfers. But before we get into signing some players, there will be some rules in this rebuild. In order for us to actually complete this rebuild, we must go into the Champions League final with at least 3 German players in our starting 11. We must also have at least 2 Youth Academy scouted players in the matchday squad heading into the Champions League final. And in order for this rebuild to be successfully completed, we must win the Champions League, Bundesliga and DFB pokal. This rebuild is not going to be straightforward. And lads, for this rebuild we are going to be taking a bit of a risk. For the first ever time in FC25, we are not going to choose a tactical preset. We are just simply going to go with a balanced approach with this team. Our build-up style will be balanced and our defensive approach will also be balanced. This is the first time we have done this in FC25, and if we are not seeing results, we will be forced to change it. And now lads, it is time, but we've all been waiting for. Let's start improving this team. Where do we need to improve the team heading into season 1? Well, I definitely need to be making the starting 11 back. So the first player who will be getting replaced is Kalas at centre back. He is 31-year-old and 69 rated. We need to bring in a younger, high potential centre back. Now, we do have some older players in our team like Karaman and Seguin, but as they're both over 70 rated and they're actually really decent players for Bundesliga 2 level, we're going to keep these 2 guys in our starting 11 just for this season. We'll probably replace them next season. But one position I'm looking at that's really weak in that starting 11 is definitely our goalkeeper. Hekeren is 66 rated and 23-year-old, doesn't have the highest potential. We need to definitely be replacing him, bringing a higher potential, higher rated goalkeeper into the club. And I think if we can bring a centre back and goalkeeper into the club in this window, we'll be much more strong defensively and it'll give us a better chance of getting out of the Bundesliga 2 at the first chance of asking. Now we have identified the goalkeeper we want to bring to Schalke in this transfer window. This would be an unbelievable signing, as we have targeted Jonas Erbig of Bayern Munich. He is 20-year-old, 73 rated, has outstanding stats, and he falls within our price range as well, as Bayern are going to want anywhere from 5.8 to 7.8 million euros for him. He is a huge upgrade in the goalkeeper position. He's got excellent potential and we are definitely bringing him to Schalke. And 6 million euros is enough to bring Jonas Erbig to Schalke. We are kicking the rebuild off in the correct way. This is a great signing. But we are now left with just 2 million euros in the bank. We need to get our youth scouts out scouting and bring a centre back in, so we are going to have to sell some of our aging players. Now lads, we went back out into the transfer market and made a very good loan signing, and I'm really excited about this player. Finn Jeltsch has joined the club on a 2-year loan with an optional future fee of 2.3 million euros. He is 17 years old, he is 68 rated, he's got fantastic stats, has insane potential in FC25. This is a massive loan signing for us. He goes straight into our team, but this will be the last incoming of this transfer window. And with 4 million million euros remaining in our bank account. I know you're probably thinking, Scott, let's go and sign one more player. Well, I want to get my youth scouts out scouting, as we have to have at least 2 academy players in the matchday squad in the Champions League final. And I also want to flood the squad of the best possible coaches as soon as possible to really help develop our younger players who are currently at the club. So we will be sending out our youth scouts right now. As you know, I'm always looking to your suggestions in the comment section. Today we are going with this comment, who has commented multiple times for us to send our scouts to Mongolia. So that is where our scouts are going for the entire season. So with our transfer window officially completed in terms of incomings, this is going to be the Schalke team to take us into season number 1. We've definitely improved the quality of our backline by bringing Yelch and Urbig to the club. Urbig is a massive signing for us. Now, before we progress on to the end of the season, we have sold a few players we had listed for transfer. Now, we do still have some players listed for transfer. We do have some negotiations going on to get players out on loan, and if those deals do go through, I'll run you through them at the end of the season. As of right now, we are simulating forward straight through to the end of season number 1. We just want to be around them promotion places. So we have arrived at the end of season number 1, lads, and we've only gone and done it. We have won the Bundesliga 2 on 68 points, 1 point clear of second place Cologne, and at the first time of asking, we have actually managed to get Schalke back into the Bundesliga, and this is where the real hard work begins. In the DFB Pokal, we made the second round, where unfortunately we drew Borussia Dortmund, our biggest rivals, and they beat us 2-1. Hopefully in the not so distant future, we're knocking them out of cup competitions instead. But looking at the team heading into season number 2, there is definitely work to be done. We've seen immense growth across the entire team. Everyone besides Hamachi and Bullet are over 70 rated, but that's where the question marks do come in. We definitely need to bring a left midfielder and a right back into the football club in season number 2, as these 2 lads are just not good enough, but they are still young and hopefully they'll grow to be good rotation options. The bench also isn't the best, lads, so by bringing Hamachi and Bullet onto the bench, that could increase our overall ratings there, but we do need them to keep growing. Now at the end of the season, we'll be saying goodbye to Loris Kalius and Ralph Farman, as they are both over 30, nowhere near our first choice goalkeepers, so we're getting them both off the wage bill. And in terms of stats, it was actually Kenan Karaman, our centre attacking midfielder, who was one of our best players, getting 18 goals and 9 assists. Musa Sila had a good season as well, getting 18 goals and 5 assists, and Hamachi and Aydin both got over 10 goals, but not many goals at all from the rest of the squad. That could be something we look to identify in season number 2. And we did manage to bring in quite a few decent Mongolian youngsters. As you can see, no one's really got crazy potential, but there were 2 youngsters who had between 80 and 90 potential who we have sent out on loan. Ketboge Bilgun is a 65 rated CDM. He's out on loan for the next 2 seasons, and attacking midfielder Abaka Monkbold is out on loan for the next 2 seasons as well. He's 67 rated and 18-year-old. Hopefully them 2 can develop loads and come back fighting for a first team place. So we have arrived in season number 2, but the board have only managed to give us 26 million euros. Understandable considering all the financial issues Schalke have had in real life. So we may not be able to significantly improve the starting 11, which could mean staying up could be a real task. And lads, you may notice that I'm not as energetic as I normally am. That's because I am really ill recording this video. But if you could smash that like button and subscribe to the channel, it would definitely help me out. Now, first things first, I think it's essential that we bring in Bundesliga level winger to the club, because that is where we are currently weakest. And we have identified German international Ansgar Knau. He is 78 rated, 23-year-old, has got really decent stats, and he is absolutely rapid. He is at the moment a right midfielder, but we will be switching his position to a left mid, which he can definitely do. However, the main stumbling block in this deal will be the price that Frankfurt could be asking for. They're going to want anywhere from 21.8 to 27.2 million euros for him. We're going to try and get a good deal for him. Hopefully we can scramble some funds together to bring a right back to the club. And Ansgar Knau has signed for the club for 23 million euros on a 5-year deal, but this has decimated our transfer budget, as we are now left with just €1 million in the bank, meaning we're going to have to sell quite a lot of players in this window to be able to bring a right back to the club. Well lads, we have had a very exciting end to our season 2 transfer window, but first we have got a mountain of outgoings to get through. I'm not going to run through them all because there's literally so many, but as you can see, we have sold a lot of first team players, and we raised around 11 million euros to sign some more players. So a right back was top of our priority list, and we brought in Vinicius Tobias from Torino for 6 million euros. He is 21 years old, he is 72 rated, 5'9". He has very progressive stats, a very attack minded fullback. He's got great potential in FC25, and I'm really excited to see how he gets on in a Schalke shirt. And we did have a little bit of money left over in the bank, and we have gone out and made an extremely extremely exciting signing. We saw that Paul Wanner was available for loan this season. He is 74 rated, 19 years old, has excellent stats, and he is one of the highest potential attacking midfielders in FC25. We have signed him on a 1-year loan with an optional future fee of 8.5 million euros, which is actually below his market value. He looks incredible on paper. I have no doubt he's going to be one of the best players in the squad throughout this entire rebuild. However, lads, we are now left with just 4 million euros, and I do want to get my youth scouts out once again. So in terms of incomings, I'm going to say that's us done. And with the new signings added to our starting 11, this will be the Schalke team that takes us into season number 2. Have we got enough to survive in the Bundesliga? Who knows, lads. We do have a pretty decent team on paper. We've got a lot of young emerging talent who will develop loads over the course of this season. But as of right now, we just have to put all of our faith into this team in keeping us in the Bundesliga, because we cannot afford to go down. Now, this season, we are going to be scouting a little bit closer to home, as we are going to be going around Germany this year, looking for the best young players in the country. Let's now simulate forward straight through to the end of season number 2 and see if Schalke can survive in the Bundesliga. So we've arrived at the end of season number 2, boys, and do not ask me how, but we have actually finished 6th in the Bundesliga table on 56 points, and I think this has secured us Conference League football for season number 3. Now it's time to go back into the transfer market, bring the right players in, and who knows, in season 3 we could maybe get Champions League football. In the pokal, we made the quarterfinals, where we unfortunately lost on penalties to RB Leipzig. No shame in that. So this is how the team is looking at the end of season number 2, and I am very surprised that this team has actually finished 6th in the Bundesliga. Erbig and Knauf are clearly our best players, as they're the ones over 80 rated. The rest of the squad though, lads, is fairly average. Now let's not forget that players like Wanner, Sanchez, Yelch and Tobias are all very young with good potential. They will just continue to grow season on season, but the rest of the squad definitely needs some work. I think going into season number 3, we have to bring a new left back into the club and right midfielder. So a left back and right mid are definitely top priorities in this window, and if we have any remaining money left over, we will look to bring a new CDM into the club. Seguin and Schallenberg are just not at that level to get us to Champions League football. But as we know, boys, our transfer business is solely deciding on how much money the board decide to give us. Now in terms of stats, Silla was our best player, getting 23 goals and 10 assists. He had a great season. Now we did promote 1 or 2 more youth academy players to our first team. Leanne Schmidt is 17, 63 rated, and he'll go out on loan next season. And the same can be said for Valentin Schneider, 17-year-old, 64 rated. And before we get into season number 3, boys, we did make the loan of Finn Yelch permanent for 2.3 million euros. He looks an extremely exciting player. We're really excited to see how he gets on in a Schalke shirt. So we have arrived in season number 3, lads, and we've got a very disappointing transfer budget. We've only been given 31 million euros. And our first order of business of season number 3 is to make Paul Wanner's loan permanent. He's 77 rated, 20-year-old, worth 23 million. We're going to sign him for just 8.2 million. And Paul Wanner signs for 8.2 million. This is a huge signing for the football club. But unfortunately, we've only got 21 million euros left remaining in the bank. We're going to try and sell a few players to raise some funds, because it's absolutely essential we get a left back and right mid in this transfer window. Now, our main priority in this transfer window was bringing a left back into the club, and we have managed to do that by bringing Nathaniel Brown into the club. He's 23-year-old, 77 rated. He's German as well, adding to our current German contingent in the squad. Signed in from Frankfurt for 17.5 million euros on a 5-year deal. Now, Frankfurt finished 3rd in the Bundesliga last season, so he makes a direct rival for Champions League football weaker. He's a huge upgrade in the left back position. However, lads, we are now left with just 2 million euros in the bank. Now, in terms of outgoings, we have sold quite a few players and loaned out a few academy players, and we have raised around 5 million euros in player sales. However, with just 8 million euros in the bank, lads, I really can't see us doing any more business in this window. However, we have actually managed to make a significant sale, as Mehmet Aydin has left the club. He heads over to Belgium, and we have received 6 million euros for him, which now leaves us with 13 million in the bank. And you know what, lads, I've had a bit of a brainwave. We are going to retrain our current right back Vinicius Tobias to be a right midfielder. It'll only take 1 week, and he has got pretty decent stats going forward. And with this remaining 13 million, we're going to go back out into the transfer market and sign a right back. And we have managed to bring a right back into the football club, as we have raided Wolves for right back Pedro Lima. He is 20 years old, 73 rated, showing great potential, has really decent attacking stats. Signed him for €5 million, which is 1.5 million below his market value. I know he's not the most glamorous signing in the world. I know he don't come in and instantly make us world beaters, but we have used him before and he got to above 90 rated, and I'm really confident within the next couple of seasons he will grow loads and go on to be one of the best fullbacks in the Bundesliga. And that will mean this will be the Schalke team to take us into season number 3. It's been a bit of a weird transfer window because I don't think we've actually made the team massively better. We have brought in 2 young high potential fullbacks who should be reaching 80 rated in the near future. Tobias could be a bit of a masterstroke moving into the right midfield position, only time will tell, but I think qualifying for the Champions League could be a step too far in season 3. But let's now simulate forward straight through to the end of season number 3 and let's see how Schalke get on. So we have arrived at the end of season number 3, boys, and we have actually improved on last season's turnout, as we finished 5th in the Bundesliga on 59 points, meaning we have got guaranteed Europa League football for season number 4. However, we was in fact 9 points off the Champions League position, showing there is quite a big gap to bridge between us and the top 4. But we have got some excellent news, boys, as we have won the DFB Pokal. We beat Frankfurt in the final 3-1, adding our first domestic cup of the rebuild to our trophy cabinet, and now we have only got to win the Bundesliga and Champions League to complete this rebuild. Now lads, I thought we were in the Conference League this season. It turns out we was actually in the Europa League, and we give a really good account of ourselves. We got to the quarterfinals where we narrowly lost 4-3 over 2 legs to Manchester United. So this is how the team is looking at the end of season number 3, and we have seen some pretty significant growth across the entire team. Jonas Erbig is 87 rated and probably the best goalkeeper in the Bundesliga. A lot of our younger players have now reached 80 rated, which is really nice to see, like Wanner, Sanchez and Brown, with Jeltsch and Tobias not far behind. We've also seen good growth from Lima as well. But going into season number 4, we have to bring a world-class CDM into the club if we want to get into the Champions League places. Schellenberg and Seguin are good, decent, experienced players, but they're not good enough to get us in the Champions League. I'm willing to invest all of our transfer funds into bringing a CDM into the club. But our youth academy players are definitely growing out on their loans. Schmidt is now 70 rated and 19-year-old. He's got another season at Dusseldorf to grow. Bilgun has grown to 72 rated and he is 20-year-old. He's still got some room to grow. I think he joins us back at the end of the season, so he'll be a good player to have on the bench. So the youth players are growing, boys, as we look at our best players. Wanner was our best player this season, getting 19 goals and 15 assists. Silla had a good season as well, getting 19 goals and 9 assists. And Knauf had a really good season as well, getting 17 goals and 5 assists. So we have arrived in season number 4, boys, and again, the board haven't really backed us. They've only given us €41 million. Hopefully we can bring in a really good CDM with this money. Lads, we have gone out and bought an absolute world-class CDM with our limited funds, but let me tell you, this has absolutely skinted us, as we have got nothing left in the bank. We have broke the bank to bring Romeo Lavia to the club from Barcelona for €38.5 million, 4 million below his market value. He is 23 years old, 83 rated, has incredible stats for a CDM, has insane potential in FC25, and this is the most exciting signing we have made so far in this rebuild. We did have to sell Kenan Karaman to be able to sign him for €2.9 million, and I wasn't lying, boys. We have literally got €36 in the bank, so we can't even send our youth scouts out this season. But with Romeo Lavia added to our starting 11, we look much more solid in the centre of the park, and I feel like if players like Jeltsch, Tobias and Lima can grow significantly this season, there's no reason at all why this team can't get in the Champions League. And looking to our bench, while it's definitely not the strongest in the world on paper, we do have quite a few young players on there who can grow. We've got 2 youth academy players, so as things stand, we could complete the rebuild, as we've got more than 3 German players in the starting 11, and we've got 2 youth academy players in the matchday squad. But we have kicked off season number 4 with an absolute bang, lads, as we have beaten Bayern Munich 3-0 in the German Super Cup final, adding yet another trophy to our trophy cabinet. And other than selling Kalaman, which we already know about, we have sent 2 youngsters out on loan, Jeddah Zaya and Max Greuger. They have both gone out on loan for 2 seasons. Hopefully when they come back, they'll be challenging for the first team. And lads, I have just noticed that we could potentially be in the Champions League this season. Now, I know we finished 5th in the Bundesliga. It's usually the top 4 that get Champions League. Maybe a German side won the Champions League last season, meaning that 5th place actually qualify for the Champions League. Let me just simulate forward a little bit further and I'll get back to you and let you know if we actually are in the Champions League or the Europa League. And lads, we are actually in the Champions League this season. We've already qualified for the league phase. I don't know whether this is because we won the Pokal and finished 5th, or maybe a German team won the Champions League last season, but all that matters is we will be playing Champions Champions League football in season number 4. There's only one way to find out how we get on, and that's by simulating forward straight through to the end of the season. We've arrived at the end of season number 4, boys, and we have had an excellent season in the Bundesliga as we have finished second on 73 points, guaranteeing Champions League qualification for us in season number 5. Scored 73 goals along the way and won 23 of our games. We did find ourselves 10 points behind eventual winners Bayern Munich. Now, our defence of the pokal was a poor one. We got knocked out in the third round by Bayern Munich 3-1. They were the best team in Germany this year, and there's no shame losing to them. But there is real shame in our Champions League performance. After a poor showing in the league phase, we had to resort to a playoff game, and we were battered over 2 legs by Juventus 7-3. Nowhere near good enough, and that needs to be addressed in season number 5. But the real saving grace of season number 4 is our team is now starting to look very strong on paper. We've got some genuine world-class players in our team. We just need to bring in a world-class CDM to replace Seguin. And I would like to bring in a backup centre-back and striker. It is completely dependent on how much money the board give us. Now, in terms of stats, Musa Silla was our best player this season, getting 26 goals and 8 assists. Knauf and Wanner had great seasons as well, both scoring 19 goals, Wanner chipping in with 12 assists. So we have arrived in season number 5, boys, and the board just do not want to back us at all. We've been given 45 million euros. We're going to try and bring in a world-class CDM. Hopefully it's actually doable. So the board clearly don't want to back us, but one thing the board don't understand is how good I am at finding a bargain, as we have signed an incredible defensive midfielder. Arden Jashiri joins the club from Club Brugge for 40 million euros. He's 25 years old, he is 84 rated. Just look at some of them stats, lads. A really great CDM at this level. He massively elevates the ability level of our midfield, and this is an unbelievable signing for 40 million euros. Jashiri will be the only signing of season number 5, as we've only got 2 million euros left in the bank. I don't really have anyone in the team that I want to sell. We do need to get some of our youth academy players out on loan in this window. That will likely be the only other business we do in season 5. Now, we have had one permanent outgoing in this transfer window, boys. Paul Seguin has joined Leeds United for 9.1 million euros. 33-year-old, it's probably the biggest amount of money we're going to get for him before he starts declining. So we have cashed in on him right now. And as you can see, lads, we have loaned out absolutely loads of our youngsters. They need to get valuable first team minutes. I'm really going to be taking a close eye on Leanne Schmidt's development, though. He is someone I can genuinely see getting into our starting 11 if he has a really good growth spurt out at Real Sociedad. So our transfer window is done, boys, and this season we are back in the Champions League. We have to perform better than we did last season. Some of our standout fixtures of our league phase campaign are Roma away, PSG away, and Real Madrid at home. Some really difficult fixtures there. Let's simulate forward straight through to the end of the season, see how we got on. So we have arrived at the end of season number 5, boys, and we have finally won the Bundesliga, finishing on 80 points, 7 points clear of second place Borussia Dortmund. We won 25 of our 34 games, scoring 76 goals. That is seriously impressive. We have now won the pokal, the Bundesliga. All we need to win now is the Champions League, and we have won our second pokal of the rebuild, beating Stuttgart 3-2 in the final, and that is a second pokal trophy added to our trophy cabinet, completing a domestic double. But in the Champions League, we would not reach the final, unfortunately. We made the quarterfinals where we lost 7-4 on aggregate to AC Milan. Really thrilling encounter. We are edging ever closer, though, to that Champions League final, and this is the Schalke team at the end of season number 5. What a team we have got on paper. World-class players in every single position. Erbig and Wanner become our first 90+ rated players, with Sanchez at 89 rated. Don't really want to make any changes to the starting 11 in season number 6, as I feel it's a very strong team. But looking at our bench, we do have a slightly weak bench for my liking. We're going to work to bring a backup striker and backup centre-back to the club, and then I think we'll have a really good chance of going further in the Champions League. And this is something we love to see, boys. Leanne Schmidt is now 77 rated. He's out on loan at Sociedad. I think he's going to be there for another season. I may recall him at some point next season if he grows to like 80 rated, but he looks like a fantastic youngster. Now, in terms of stats, Musa Sila had his best season to date, getting 33 goals and 3 assists, but Paul Wanner was our best player, getting 22 goals and 16 assists. So we've won the Bundesliga, we've won the pokal. All that's left to do in this rebuild is win the Champions League, and hopefully we can take a step towards it next season. So we have arrived in season number 6, lads, and it's a good job we're not signing anyone for the starting 11, as the board have only given us 63 million euros. However, this should be enough to bring a centre-back and striker to the club. So we have gone out into the transfer market, boys, and we have brought in 2 excellent backup options, a centre-back and a striker. First player we signed was Bright Aqua Array and B from FC20. He is 26-year-old, 79 rated. We signed him for 24 million euros, so we did have to overpay slightly for him, and I think he'll be an excellent backup option for us on the bench going into season number 6. And we have brought in a young striker striker that we have never used before. Petar Rakov has joined the club for 19 million euros. He's 25-year-old, 78 rated, 6'4", so a physical specimen. Looks like a really, really good striker. He gives us a different option off the bench given his height and physical prowess. Now after those signings, we are left with 11 million euros in the bank, and at this stage of the rebuild, we aren't bringing anyone in who gets onto our bench with 11 million euros. So that's going to be our transfer window done in terms of incomings. We're also not looking to sell anyone in this window, so our squad is officially locked in for season 6. So our starting 11 stays the same, but our bench is looking much stronger already with the additions of Rakov and Array and B. I think we've actually got a really decent bench, lads. No real standout world beaters on there. There are 3 academy players. You may see that Schmidt is also there. We did decide to recall him from his loan. Now, as things stand, we have got 5 German players in the starting 11, and we have got 3 academy players involved in the matchday squad. So as of right now, all objectives are met. Just need to win the Champions League to complete this rebuild. And speaking of the Champions League, our league phase fixtures have been drawn, and our standout fixtures are Sporting Lisbon at home, PSG at home, and Barcelona away. So we have got some real difficult fixtures this time round. Hopefully we can go one step further and make the final this season. The only way to find out if we do that is by simulating forward straight through to the end of the season. But we have arrived at the end of season 6, boys, and this is what we love to see. We have won yet another Bundesliga title, finishing on 78 points, 10 points clear of second place Borussia Dortmund, our arch rivals, by the way. We only lost 4 of our 34 games. That is insane. We scored 74 goals. We absolutely dominated the Bundesliga this season, and we added another trophy to the trophy cabinet, winning another pokal. We beat Bayern Munich 3-2 in the final, and we also won the Super Cup again, boys. We beat our arch rivals Dortmund in the final 2-0, and boys, we could genuinely be on for a quadruple, as this season we have actually made the Champions League final, where we will be taking on Real Madrid. They had a very impressive league phase. We finished 6th, winning 5 of our 8 games, getting 16 points, meaning we went straight into the round of 16, where we battered RC Lens 4-1 over 2 legs. We would then go on to batter Borussia Dortmund 4-1 over 2 legs. That's an all-timer for Schalke. We would then take on Manchester City in the semi-finals, and we have actually done the best comeback in FC25 so far. We lost the first leg 4-1. We then won the second leg 5-1, beating Man City 6-5 over 2 legs. I was absolutely gobsmacked when I seen this, boys, to set up a final with Real Madrid. And this is the team that has got us to a Champions League final and literally won everything in Germany, and what a team it is on paper. 6 of our starting 11 are above 90 rated. Urbig, Sanchez, Lima and Wana are absolutely ridiculous. The lowest rated player in our starting 11 is 85 rated. Before we head to the Champions League final, let's check the stats. Paul Wana was our best player, getting 28 goals and 16 assists, but Silla and Knauf both got over 20 goals, which is massively impressive. We have really performed on the pitch this season. We just need to do it one more time in the Champions League final against Real Madrid. And here we go, boys. It is Champions League final time, live from Old Trafford. Now, this Real Madrid team will not be no pushovers. They have still got the likes of Vinicius Jr., Jude Bellingham, and more, boys. Players like Benjamin Sesko, William Saliba, just to name a few. Knauf, that's a really good run. If someone can make a run into that space, it'd really help me out. No one is making runs. Get into the box. And I do apologise, lads, if I do sound a bit off. I have been so ill while recording this rebuild. Up to Wana. Good turn. Oh, he's done Saliba with a turn. Wana. Nope. Good save by Costa. We will get a corner 30 minutes in. First real chance of the game. Can we get a goal from this corner? Whipped in. It's a bit too deep, I think, Jelch, and it's an easy save for Diogo Costa. Wana needs to really improve, but he's skinned his man. Ref, that's got to be a card. Yellow card for William Saliba. We are asking questions of this Real Madrid team. Laid off. Hit by Jashiri, great save by Costa. And they aren't going to let us take the corner because obviously it's Real Madrid tax. It's 0-0 at half time. We've had the better chances. Our defence has been incredible. We just need to find the opening goal. Second half is on the way, boys. Just find the goal, lads. We've been the better side. Wana is pretty quick. I need Silla to make a better run than that. I need Silla to make a better run. Silla, please make a good run. Silla! Yes, it's 1-0 to Schalke. He finally peels away from his man. We pick him out and he slams the ball home. Early in the second half, we take the lead 1-0 to Schalke. Silla finally pulls away from his man and slams it into the roof of the net. It's no more than we deserve. We have been excellent in this final. We have really restricted Real Madrid to absolutely nothing in this game. Find the pass. That is a great ball. Cut inside Tobias. Ref, that's a foul. That's a foul. Get him off. Get him off. He's off, lads. Get off. That would never a red card in a million years. Real Madrid down to 10. This will be the last action of the game. I'm not sure why he's given a red card, though. We'll take it, though. In the last minute of the game, we're going to lay it off. Have a dig. Straight at the keeper. Blow the full-time whistle. There is the full-time whistle, boys. We have beaten 10-man Real Madrid 1-0 in the Champions League final. And Schalke are the champions of Europe. And what a rebuild this has been, boys. We have literally won everything you can win as Schalke manager. And now all that's left to do is watch the Royal Blues lift the Champions League trophy. And that is another rebuild successfully boxed off. And Schalke are the best team in the world. So I just want to say a massive thank you for watching the video. If you have enjoyed it, please be sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as it does really help me out. We are edging closer to 5,000 subscribers on the channel. And I will see you next week for another rebuild.